Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, students. This is Umar Sipra, and you are watching Sipra TV. In today's lesson, inshallah Aziz, we will review all of the lessons of Nurani Qaida in a concise manner. And this lesson is intended for those students who have already finished the Nurani Qaida or who have covered most of the lessons of Nurani Qaida. And in a concise manner, in this one video lesson, we will review all of the rules which we have learned so far. So without further ado, let's begin. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. This sign which you are seeing is called fatah, and the sound of fatah is a. So this is ba fatah ba, ba la gha. We must not stretch the letters unnecessarily like ba la gha, not like that. And we must not also make the sound jerky like ba la gha, not like that. The correct sound will be, the correct length will be ba la gha, ba la gha. Okay, when the same sign comes below a letter, it becomes a kasra. And the sound of kasra is E. The sound of fatah is A. The sound of kasra is E. So it is adina. The sound of dhamma is U. So it is su'ila. Alright, this is double fatah, and the sound of double fatah is an. So it is abadan. So dal and an becomes dan, abadan. Similarly, this is double kasra, and the sound of double kasra is in. So it is amadin. So the sound of double fatah is an, the sound of double kasra is in. So amadin. And similarly, this is double dhamma, and the sound of double dhamma is un. So it is la'ibun. Alright. Now this is standing fatah, and whenever it comes above a letter, we stretch that letter for 1 second. The sound of standing zabar is standing fatah is a. The sound of standing fatah is a. And whenever it comes above a letter, we stretch that letter for 1 second. So it is ala. So ain has a fatah, we will not stretch it, and lam has a standing fatah, we will stretch it for 1 second. So this is ala. And similarly, this is standing kasra, and whenever it comes below a letter, we stretch it for 1 second. So this is bihi. So we have stretched the he for 1 second. Similarly, this one is reverse dhamma. Whenever it comes above a letter, we stretch that letter for 1 second. The sound of reverse dhamma is oo. The difference between dhamma and reverse dhamma is the length. Whenever it comes above a letter, we stretch it for 1 second. So this is yadahu. Alright. So this is the big mud. Whenever it comes above a letter, we stretch that letter for 4 seconds. So this is ata'an, ghusa'an. So we have to count on our fingers 4 times, which means that it is roughly equal to 4 seconds. Similarly, this one will be G-A. Now this alif will be ignored because this ya has a sukoon on it. Whenever a letter has a sukoon on it and the previous letter does not have any sign, we skip that letter, go back, and we connect the previous letter which has a sign directly to the letter which has a sukoon. So it will be G-A. So we stretch the G because of the big mud here. Alright, this is the small mud, and whenever it comes above a letter, we stretch the letter for 2 seconds. So this will be bima unzila. Alright. Ulaika sawafa. Alright. This is the alif madad rule. Whenever a letter has a fatah on it and the next letter is alif, we stretch the letter for 1 second. It is the same as if standing fatah. The only difference is visual. As well as the sound is concerned, both the standing fatah and the alif madda are the same thing. So this is zata. Alright, whenever a letter has a dhamma on it and the next letter is waw with the sukoon on it, we call it waw madda and we stretch it for 1 second. So it will be qalu. So on qa we apply alif madda, on lu we apply waw madda. So qalu. Whenever a letter has a kasra below it and the next letter is ya with sukoon, we stretch it for 1 second and that's called ya madda rule. So it will be akhi, tajzi. Alright, so this is the sukoon sign. Whenever it appears above a letter, we connect the previous letter with that letter. And here we are actually connecting Hamza with the Qaf and applying the Qalqala rule. We will later on understand and learn what is Qalqala. For the time being, just repeat after me. Uqtul naqasusu makran batosha qitri atmim. This is the function of sukoon. حبل صبرا أجر زجرة صدق قدحا شأن. Whenever sukoon is above a hamza, we connect the previous letter with a jerk. So it is a jerk. We create a jerky sound here. So sha'nun ya'tikum bi'sa quri'a yu'minu mu'sadatun. Alright, whenever a letter has a tashdid on it, we connect the previous letter with that letter and we press that letter for half a second. So, and we read that letter 2 times. So, this dal will be read 2 times. For example, we will connect Saad with the dal. So, this will be 1 time, and then we will read the fatah of dal. This will be the 2nd time. So, we will combine these two dals together. So, this is Sod and Da. Sod Da. So, we press the dal for half a second. So, Saddaqa, Qaddara, Kadhaba, Allama, Hussila, Addada, Muddat, Huqqat, Khaffat, Yassir, Tabbat, Taqabbal, Tabba, Sabba, Dhanna. Okay, whenever noon or meme have tashdid on them, we press these letters for 1 complete second. Instead of half a second, we press these letters for 1 complete second, and this is called ghunna. So this is ghanna, thumma, mimma, hunna, illiyuna, illiyina, innalladhina, illalladhina, يزكى يذكر حتى لشتى صلى تولى تجلى والضحى عدف. Whenever waw has a tashdid on it, we produce the V sound. عدف مستمر عربي. Whenever tashdid is on the ya letter, we produce the G sound, like in the word vision. Samiriyu fil yammi fatallun. Alright. Whenever there is a small noon, the small noon is called noon qutni. So this tiny noon, whenever it appears, and before that, if there is alif madda, then alif madda will be ignored. So it will be read like this. Adanil ula. Instead of saying adanil, it will be adanil ula. Khayranil wasiyah. Since we are stopping here, the round ta will turn into ha and the dhamma will turn into sukoon. So that's why we said khayranil wasiyah. However, if we want to continue reading, then it will be like this. Khayranil wasiyatu mathalanil qawmu lumazatinil ladhi. Since we did not decide to stop here, that's why we read the small noon as well. If we want to stop here, like lumazah, then the noon, the small noon, will be ignored. Alladhi, we will read it like this. Okay. All right. Whenever a letter has a tashdid on it and the previous letter has sukoon, the tashdid letter overtakes the letter with which has sukoon because tashdid is more powerful than sukoon. So in this instance, this ra will be directly connected with this ba because it has a tashdid, and this ba with the sukoon will be ignored. So this will be like this: Izrib bi'asaka. Since ba has a tashdid, we will press it also for half a second. So it will be like this: Izrib bi'asaka. Qad dakhalu. So we connected with this qad with this dal, and this dal was instead ignored because of the sukoon on it. So because tashdid is more powerful than sukoon. So qad dakhalu idhahaba wadhkur rabbaka yaj'al lahu avvazanuhum. So we ignored this vaw and we connected this hamza with vaw. Since vaw has a tashdid, we produce the v sound. Yudrikum. We ignored this kaf. We connected this ra with this kaf. Fala yusrif fil qatli mahattu. We ignored the dal here, connected the ha with the ta. So first of all, we connected meme with the ha because of the tashdid on ha. Then we pressed it for half a second, and then after that we connected ha with the ta and pressed it for half a second again because ta has a tashdid, ignoring the dal. Mahattu wajattum. Again we ignored the dal. Qalat ta'ifa. Again we ignored this ta. Izzalamu. We ignored the zal here. Connected hamza with this za. Izzalamtum. Irkam ma'ana. We ignored the ba here. Connected kaf with meme directly applying gunna here. Alam nakhlukum. Ignored the qaf, directly connected lam with the kaf. Milladunhu. And if we stop, milladunh. Mir rabbika. Qur rabbi. Alright, if a letter has a fatha on it and the next letter is vaw with sukoon, we call it vowleen and we do not stretch it like sawman, qawlun. If a letter has a fatha on it and the next letter is ya with sukoon, we call it yaleen and we do not stretch it like ruwaydan, aina, ruwaydan, ainun, qurayshin. Whenever a letter has a sukoon on it and that letter belongs to one of these letters, qaf, ta, ba, jim, dal. So whenever one of these letters, which is qaf, ta, ba, jim, dal, have a sukoon on it and we connect the previous letter with it, we produce the sound, which means the qalqala sound. Qalqala means the returning sound. So it will be uqatul, naqsusu. Since kaf is not part of the qalqala letters, we will not apply qalqala here. So makran, batosha. Ta is part of the qalqala letters. We applied qalqala here. Qitri, atmim, hablun, sabran, ajrun, zajratun, sidqin, qadhan, sha'nun, ya'tikum. So here we are not applying qalqala. We are making it jerky because of the sukoon on hamza. Because whenever hamza has a sukoon, we make it jerky. Ikhfa means to hide. So we are hiding the sound of noon in our nose. These are the throat letters hamza, ha, ain, ha, ghain, kha. Whenever noon has a sukoon on it and the next letter belongs to the throat letters, then we do not apply ikhfa. We read that noon normally. However, if noon has a sukoon on it and the next letter does not belong to the throat letters, then we apply ikhfa. Ikhfa has three rules which we need to follow. First of all, we need to hide the sound of noon in our nose, and secondly we need to stretch the sound for 1 second, and thirdly we must be careful not to touch our tongue anywhere while reading this rule. So it will be like this: in anta. At the first noon we did not apply ikhfa because the next letter is hamza, which belongs to the throat letters. And in the second instance, anta, we applied ikhfa here because ta does not belong to the throat letters. Similarly, in minhum, we didn't apply ikhfa because ha is one of the throat letters. Same is the case with an'amta, wanhar, liman khashiya, wal munkhaniqatu. In all of these cases, we did not apply any ikhfa because of the throat letters next to the noon sakin or noon with sukoon. Now, here only here only in this instance we applied ikhfa because ta does not belong to the throat letters. In the line below, in all of the examples, we have applied ikhfa because noon has a sukoon and the next letter does not belong to the throat letters. So yantiqu عندهم لكنتم أنقض ينكث منكم. Alright, so we have already read this that whenever a letter has a tashdid on it, we have to press it for half a second. However, if it comes above noon or meme, we press these letters for one complete second. That's called ghunna. So, dhanna, summa, mimma, hunna, amma, summa, ummatin, musamman. All right. Whenever meme has a sukoon on it and the next letter is ba, I'm not talking about other letters, only I'm talking about ba. If meme has a sukoon on it and the next letter is ba, we apply gunna on that meme. So gunna applies two times. First of all, when meme has a tashdid, and secondly, when meme has a sukoon and the next letter is ba. Also, gunna applies when noon has a tashdid on it. So it will be يعتصم بالله ترميهم بحجارة. Alright. Whenever there is a noon with a sukoon on it and the next letter is the small meme, we ignore the noon, we connect the previous letter, which in this case is Hamza, with fatah, and we will connect it with the small meme and apply gunna here. So it will be ambiuni mim ba'di amadam ba'idan kiramim bararah min bayni sulbi bidambihim. Alright. Idgham means to mix up the sounds. So we are mixing up the sounds of Hamza, Noon, and Ya. Whenever Noon has a sukoon on it, or a letter has double fatah, double kasra, or double dhamma, and the next letter is either a Ya or a Waw, then we apply the Idgham rule. So in this case, it will be surkum. So we are mixing up the sound of Hamza, Kasra, Noon, and Ya, and we are reading it in our nose. So it will be E. Here we applied the idgham, then ya. Here we applied ikhfa. So surkum wa yuridu. Be careful not to add the ya in our nose like this, like U sound. Do not add the U sound in our nose. Some students make this mistake. وَإِن يُرِيدُوا or وَإِن يُرِيدُوا. Not the whole thing must not be read in nose. Only the E part should be read in nose. وَإِن يُرِيدُوا أَفَمَنْ وَعَدْنَا. In idgham, we have to stretch the sound for 1 second. مِنْوَالٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ شَرًّا يَرَهُ إله واحد مال ولا بنون. Alright. إن نقول من نار شيء نكر مما in. We already read this rule that whenever a letter has a tashdid and the previous letter has a sukoon, we ignore the sukoon. Letter which has sukoon. So we are connecting meme with kasra with this meme which has tashdid. So mimma in. Alright, these are the words which are exceptions. We do not apply ikhfa in these words. Ad-dunya. It is not ad-dunya. Instead, it is ad-dunya. Bunyanun. Qinwanun. Shinwanun. Bunyanahu. Bunyanan. That's it. Alright, we have already read that whenever a letter has a standing zabar, we stretch it for 1 second. If we stop, if a letter has a standing fatah, standing kasra, or reverse dhamma, then normally in stopping mode the thing does not change. However, if the standing fatah, standing kasra, or reverse dhamma is on the letter ha, and ha is coming at the end of a word, and we are stopping there, then it will turn into sukoon and we will stop there. We will not read that sign. So, for example, here we will we will read in regular mode this word like this wadduha, and in stopping mode also the same thing will be applied. We will stretch it for 1 second, nothing will change. In stopping mode also it is wadduha wallayli idha saja. Same is the case with standing fatha, standing kasra, and reverse dhamma on other letters, except for two letters, the round ta and the round ha. These are the letters that if any sign, including the standing fatha, kasra, and standing dhamma, they will turn into sukoon when we will stop. So in regular mode, it is kitabahu, but in stopping mode, it is kitabah. Similarly, rusulihi in regular mode, and in stopping mode, it is rusulih. Alright, whenever we have to stop on a word which ends with the round ta, the round ta turns into ha itself, and any sign which it has turns into sukoon. For example, in stopping mode, this word will be read like this: khawiyah, hamiyah, qayyimah, alfafa. Okay, whenever a letter other than ha or the round ta has double fatha and we are stopping, and that's the last letter of a word, and we are stopping there, then what happens is that we will remove one fatha from it and we will stretch that letter for 1 second. So in stopping mode, in regular mode it is alpha fun, but in stopping mode it is alpha fa. Similarly, in regular mode, hudan, but in stopping mode, huda. Similarly, nisa'an, but in stopping mode, it is nisa'a. Similarly, a'toina kal kawthara, but in stopping mode, it will turn into sukoon. So, a'toina kal kawthar. Laylatul Qadri, and in stopping mode, Laylatul Qadr. Qul huwallahu ahadun, and in stopping mode, Qul huwallahu ahad. When we stopped there, this double dhamma turned into sukoon, and since dal is one of the qalqala letters, we applied qalqala in stopping mode. So Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, mim masad, bidamin kadhib. All right. Whenever the second last letter of a word there is ya madda or waw madda or alif madda is being applied, we will stretch those for almost 1 to 2 seconds when stopping. So it will be salamun ala Ibrahim. So we stretched it uh, to make the recitation beautiful. Ghavuna, and in stopping mode, Ghavun. Ainaini, and in stopping mode, Ainain. Now in Yailin and Vowlin, normally we do not stretch the sound. However, when we are stopping, then we have the option of stretching it to make the recitation beautiful. So in regular mode it is Ainaini, but in stopping mode it is Ainain. Similar is the case here. Wa amanahum min khawfin. But in stopping mode, wa amanahum min khawf. Like this. Wa ilayhi matab. Wa hum muhtadun. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. الحمد لله الذي بنعمته تتم الصالحات. Alright. Whenever we stop on a word where the last letter has a tashdid on it and we are stopping there, we will still press it for half a second. So it is adalla in regular mode, and in stopping mode, adal, like this. Similarly, fatallun in stopping mode, fatall. So there will be a little bit of pressing while stopping. Aduvun in stopping mode, aduv. The V sound should be there. mustamirrin, and in stopping mode, mustamir. Wal mu'tarra, in stopping mode, wal mu'tar, like mafarru, in stopping mode, mafar. All right, when there we are stopping on a letter, on a word which has the last letter as noon or meme, and there is tasdeed, we will still apply gunna even in stopping mode. So aydiyahunna regular, and aydiyahun, this is the stopping mode. So in stopping mode also we applied gunna because noon has a tasdeed. Alayhinna, and in stopping mode, alayhin sawaf, in stopping mode, sawaf. Yusalluna ala nabiyyi, in stopping mode, yusalluna ala nabiyyi. So in stopping mode also we produce the G sound. We did not read the kasra here in stopping mode. However, we did apply tashdid and we did create the G sound here in stopping mode. So, yusalluna ala nabi, like this. All right, I hope that this lesson was helpful for you. This is the end of the lesson. Wish you best of luck. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.